we're here with Jmourko, and we're here to have a little chat. I mean, you're a new realtor with, well, relatively new realtor with Incentive in Barrie.
Yeah.
So what brought us here is we saw a video of yours. It's about a year old now, but it was a video about why you joined Sutton. So it's really cool for us, and we just thought it would be interesting to have a little chat, because obviously you put a little bit of work into your YouTube channel. You do some video, and as you mentioned, we met at an event maybe a year or two ago. You had your camera out, so I'm just curious, what got you into YouTube videos, and how that get started.
Yeah, it was really a combination of factors. And just before I answer that, it was really cool as well when my boss came up to me. I made that video like over a year ago, and it was one of the first videos I just published. And then he mentioned that you guys reached out to him and that somehow you saw. So I appreciate you watching. I'm sure you just typed in Sutton Realty, and I think the video was called "Why I Joined Sutton Realty," which was awesome to see. But what got me into YouTube videos was it was more for fun, and I guess I saw an opportunity for it. So when I first got my license almost 3 years ago at this point, I did a lot of research on YouTube, how to succeed as a new real estate agent, how to get leads, how to get listings, all these different things. And so I spent a lot of time on YouTube. And then when I started looking for local content, as in real estate content for Barrie, for Simcoe County, where I work in my market, I couldn't find a prominent creator or an influencer or just a real estate agent that was doing that. It was like photography companies putting out real estate listing videos, different things like that. So I kind of saw an opportunity. I thought that really quickly I would become like a little bit famous with my city. So I started making a couple of videos, but really quickly I realized that that's just not how it works, and it's a really a long-term game. So we'll start off with that. That kind of died off, but I stayed consistent with it, and I really started falling in love and really enjoying the process of making like a finished product. Like a lot of work goes into a YouTube video or any type of video, as you might know, like hours editing at some point, and just seeing that final product and then seeing people comment or react to it and saying, hey, this is great information. Like I really appreciate you making this. That was kind of just what kept it going. And then the fuel to continue making more videos that add value to people within my local market. So that's kind of how it started. And that's kind of where we're at now.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess it really comes down to whether you enjoy the process, because like you said, it takes a long time to do these things. I mean, obviously your videos are well made. I've seen them; they're well edited. You shot them with a proper camera, sound and everything. So I mean, anyone can make with phones these days. Anyone can make a video. Anyone can put something on YouTube.
Yeah.
But as you know, to get views, to get anything out of it, it takes a little bit more.
Yeah.
It takes time, takes effort, it takes quality. I mean, obviously, you understand a little bit about having to get the right topic, the keywords. I mean, what I liked about your video was, like why I chose Sutton, obviously because we're from Sutton, but in terms of a potential viewer, there are a lot of people looking to figure out why to join any company or how, to become a realtor or to whatever. So you pick a topic like that. It's obviously helpful. Is there anything else you've learned from your YouTube stuff that you're finding people are interested in, or of taking any suggestions for?
I think a lot of people are on the fence about whether the market's going to crash or not, and those types of videos do really, really well. But it changes from week to week, right? And it depends. I mean, I think at the height of when we were getting like multiple offers, and we still are in some cases, a lot of people were searching for real estate, but now that's slowly kind of dying off. Where I've noticed a lot of the volume and viewership is kind of like went elsewhere into different subjects, but there are still people like looking for it. So I mean, ultimately, it's like a search engine, which is
exactly. I mean, it's Google, right? I mean, they're the best at that.
Yeah. So it's tough to pinpoint exactly what someone might want to watch in a week or so, but that's why it's like a balance between what I want to talk about, what I think is valuable, and what I'm talking about with clients every day.
Do you find that you try to do some local targeting too? Like, are you very specific in a lot of your stuff, or are you kind of just general mostly right now?
A little bit of both. The general videos that can apply to like a big range of an audience get more views, obviously, but a very specific videos, like I made one whether you should live in Barrie or Orillia, which is two kind of the big cities in my district. that got like just really good feedback from the people saying, hey, like these are really great points because they're local, but the video just didn't do so well. So I guess it's a little bit of both.
Yeah, I guess the pure numbers, it'll be hard to do, but in terms of the real estate business, I mean, sometimes that could be helpful too. Like, you know, because I mean, obviously your customers are going to be pretty local, but at the same time, in terms of your YouTube growth, that's a totally different piece, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah.
No,
I just curious. Sorry, just curious question. Is this video going out is it for like new realtors starting out, new realtors trying to join Sutton Realty?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, this is the first that we're doing, and because this came about because it started because we saw your video and we thought that did great. I mean, it made us sort of think a little bit about what we could do in terms of video, and it started out with maybe having conversations with people, and you having that video, and also being a new realtor, and good reasons as to why you would have joined Sutton. So we're kind of targeting this video as some information on new realtors starting out and what they can learn, but also a little bit of YouTube and what they can do, how you could use it to help your business really, and to help marketing.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, like being a year out, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that potential realtors would be interested in. I know when I've spoken to people just getting into the business or learning to get into the business, they really want to know, you know, that first year or whatever, it's a big learning curve, and there's a lot of stuff that goes, you know, that they have to pick up, and a lot of stuff that they wish they'd known when they first started. So yeah, I think that'll be of interest, and I'm hopefully brokers will be watching this, like some Sutton brokers that they can use in their business, because I mean they're going to be recruiting people like you, and they're going to be training people like you, and a lot of times there's a big gap between like your average, you know, 50 to 70-year-old broker and like a 20 to 30-year-old new agent. You know, you kind of need to figure out, you know, what goes into that, and hopefully this can help.
Okay, cool. Yeah, just obviously my responses would structure a little different, but
so the people who are watching will probably be, you know, Sutton brokers, and hopefully some new realtors who are looking to join, and potential people who are going to want to do business with you, because we'll have your name on this and everything. So hopefully we'll have. That's awesome. I mean, I'm not entirely sure who's going to be in it, but we're gonna see what happens.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So yeah, the next thing I want to bring up was so the video was made about a year ago or so, right? Something like that.
Yeah. A little more. I didn't make the video as soon as I got my license. I made it like a little bit afterwards.
Okay.
After I had joined Sutton, and I think I was there for a couple months. But yeah, it's crazy how time flies since that was posted.
Yeah. So based on that, like, what kind of stuff's happened with you and your business? I mean, obviously the pandemic has happened. That's a big thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like, what
can't forget that one. Yeah.
What other stuff like has happened to your business in that past year?
We definitely. I'm not sure whether or not I was kind of with a business partner or a mentor at that time, but I went out and I found someone that was where I wanted to be. And so I started kind of shadowing them, and they taught me how to grow my own business and really generate it from scratch. Seeing as I didn't join a real estate team, I joined a brokerage as a solo agent. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a solo agent, and not just, you know, represent or work with somebody else's last name on the sign. But we did a lot of stuff working together now, kind of hand in hand as business partners. We're trying to start like a real estate team, which is specific to a niche market here in Barrie. And
what kind of niche market is that?
We're trying to focus on townhouses in Barrie. Yeah, there's quite a good amount of turnover. I actually have a second YouTube channel where we do like a weekly market update for townhouses, which has gotten a pretty good response. We're trying to start that. We had an assistant come, we had an assistant go. We're looking for another one. Obviously, just the growth that you experience as a new agent on your first year is incredible. You just go through so many stressful experiences, but then the next time you come around to it, it feels like you've done it again and again and again. So yeah, just excited to continue growing the business, the database, and just overall becoming better at selling real estate, I guess.
Yeah. So have you found that in terms of the amount of business you've done in the last, we'll say a couple of years, has been kind of what you were hoping, or you think that it's been, well, I mean, have the pandemic's changed any part of it, or?
I think that, the pandemic has definitely affected a big part of it. In 2019, I think I really hit the ground running, and it like exceeded my expectation of what I thought I was capable of doing in terms of getting new clients and helping people buy or sell land or homes. And then 2020, when it hit, I kind of I took a step back, really, because it was just kind of dead in between March. So I stopped prospecting and doing a lot of factors. I stopped prospecting what I did in 2019, which was like door knocking and cold calling, like the really standard stuff. And I think with the pandemic, what's happened is it's added like an extra barrier between yourself and people. I mean, if you want to go out door knocking, you can, but just be mindful of what you're doing and how you're doing it, because a simple Instagram post or a Facebook post, you can be ridiculed online.
Yeah.
Whereas it used to be much easier to get in contact with prospects, right? So definitely shifting more to an online presence and finding ways to connect with new people that are interested in buying through a digital avenue as opposed to in person.
I just want to touch back on what you just said as well about the online being risky with the posts, and we've seen it as well over the past 6 months with everyone, nerves being a bit more on edge and social media being so easy to post and so easy to say things. Have you found it you had to think 2-3 times before you put something out there?
Yeah, 100%. Which like it depends on what you put out there. I mean, I used to like post photos of myself like door knocking. I'm not doing that anymore. That's like more private, just in case somebody's not familiar with it. But I mean, in terms of just like social posts, like yeah, I do think twice. I mean, I started posting like a lot of like sold over asking listings that we sold or helped buyers purchase, and sometimes I didn't get the best feedback because people just weren't happy with how things were going. So you just change the little and say, hey, like it's sold, we're super happy for our clients or sellers, if you want to work with us, let us know, something like that.
And how about like for personally, like I know there's a lot of people who have very strong opinions, politically, socially, or whatever, certain ways. Do you try to keep that out of your business?
Yeah, 100%. Business and personal. Like unless you're talking about it in person, I would not recommend sharing it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I know that from a head office perspective, because we get a lot of engagement and comments from across the globe, and there definitely has been an increase in we'll say posts that can be taken different ways. So so in your opinion, in your business, you like to keep it out of your
more or less strictly business.
Yeah.
And personal as well, right? I mean, you want to show that you're human too, and that you have friends and you go out and do normal stuff.
Right.
And,
but there's a lot more thought that has to go into it now, it seems, though, right?
Yes. Yeah. 100%.
So if you were to talk to yourself from 2-3 years ago when you first got started, what would be the thing you'd tell yourself?
If I was to talk to myself from 2 to 3 years, I'd probably grab him by the collar, shake him down, and say 3 things that you need to do is like discipline yourself, be consistent, and probably understand that it's a numbers game. Like I'm even after a couple of years, I'm just like slowly it's just building and dawning on me that ultimately it's just numbers. It's the more people that you can talk to. So don't waste so much energy focusing on 10 people where realistically only 1 or 2 of them might buy or sell something. Focus your energy on getting more, talking to more people and expanding your business. And then whoever falls off, but you have someone to kind of keep going and keep working for. Because I think I spent a lot of time on prospects or people that just were really just, kind of just shooting in the dark and just using your time for what they can get for it.
That's a good point. So basically 1,000 light cold leads, cool leads is better than 10 warm leads, in your opinion?
Not necessarily. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think warm leads, again, out of those 10, how many are you going to purchase? Out of those 1,000, I think you have a good probability to do it. It's the same as just like, if you do like 10 push-ups every week, you're only going to get so far. If you do 10 every day, then you'll get much farther. I think that example works.
Did you find it hard with the door knocking and cold calling? Because I know when I've spoken to a lot of young realtors, is that seems to be a big stumbling block to get started, is to really be motivated to do the door knocking, the cold calling, that kind of thing.
It was very, very uncomfortable. Still is. I'm not gonna lie. I still don't really like it, but on every YouTube video or like book that you read to help you become a real estate agent, a really great one is The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. I know it's by Keller Williams and not Sutton, but I think it's a great book, and it just tells you that you kind of have to get over that fear. How else are you going to become better at dealing with people without that rejection and confrontation? So it's definitely tough, and at the same time, I think new agents starting, they don't have a lot of resources and marketing dollars to spend on all these kind of online leads and social avenues. So door knocking is like the cheapest way for you to get out in front of people and actually talk to them about real estate.
Have you had any success with online leads or anything like that?
Yes, it's right now it's a really, really big part of our business because door knocking has kind of like that pillar has fallen off.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, a lot of our online leads is what we're doing business right now from.
And have you figured out a formula for how much to invest monetarily to get a certain amount of return?
It depends week on week, and it's all shifted because Facebook like changed its advertising policies or something like that. I would just say start with like $15 a day on like a cold targeting campaign, and like $5 on retargeting. There's so much YouTube videos that can help you do it. But what I found is that initially I created like an advertisement. I thought that was the silver bullet, and it was going to get me to top producer level. But that's not how it works at all, and it just fell flat. So you gotta just continually create like new campaigns and just learn things like that, right? Which is something in my first year I didn't really bother to do. But then when the pandemic hit, I took a couple courses and I learned about video editing, so I can do like video content and advertise that. That's kind of how I got around to it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, really, like online is just another form of doing the same thing. It's just reaching people, but it's just you have to learn pretty much how to use the tool to reach people. So, but I guess what I'm interested in, and what I've been kind of like studying myself over the past couple of years is how much money you really have to spend to get those, because realistically, if you spend enough money, you're going to get leads. But what's that line, right? Like, if you spend $100 a day, $15 a day, and depending on where you are, depending on what you're going after, I guess it changes.
I think it just comes down to consistency as well. I noticed that when I ran an advertisement for like 7 days and I didn't get the leads I wanted, and I turned it off and I kept doing that, I just never got any results. And then I talked to another agent who said, no, you have to keep it running for a minimum 90 days, just so Facebook can learn the algorithm, because that's how it works, right? Facebook knows who to target better than you do, and then you just kind of keep it going. But I think consistently just promoting it to new people and then retargeting those people, and because sorry, go ahead. That's what it's about, right? It's
what would you tell people? What would you tell people who think they can get online leads without spending any money?
You have to be willing to put in a lot of work and a lot of energy, because it's like to organically grow and get someone to look at a photo of you on Instagram and then message you for it. I think is very, very tough, especially with like everything changing. So you have to be willing to put in a lot of energy, right? I mean, I think TikTok is a new venue where people are getting like a lot of engagement, but you have to like consistently post every day, which is really tough to create content in that matter and do that, right?
And time wise, it would have to grow for right. Because I do get a lot of people coming up to me asking like, how can I get leads from Facebook or from social or whatever, and really, I mean, if you want to do it quickly, you kind of have to spend money on it, I think, and maybe get extra expertise. If you don't want to learn yourself, which many people have difficulty with, it's finding someone that can help you.
I think unfortunately, if not unfortunately, but if you're using any social platform for business, you're going to have to like ultimately spend some money on it, whether it be by getting a graphic designer to make cool layouts or different things like that to make your feed appealing. But ultimately, it's gonna cost something, because you're looking to get something from it, right? I mean, if everyone could not spend $1 and make a ton of business off the social platforms, I'm sure we'd all be, but it's tough, right?
Well, I find it interesting because I find that some agents I talk to are totally willing to spend thousands a month on bus bench ads or something like that, but they'll balk at spending $500 a month on social. So, but it's because I guess the mindset is that social media is free. Why would I spend money on that? Whereas a bus bench, okay, I'll spend $3,000 this month on that. Sure.
I guess it really depends what you're comfortable with as well. For social like advertising, you don't really see what your ad is doing, I guess, or who it's being shown to, how people are interacting with it. Whereas if you drive by a bus bench, you can see it every single day. That's right. And I think for some people, they kind of like that physical aspect to it. But there's a lot of ways around it, right? What are the odds that someone is going to sit on that bench and call you, as opposed to someone who you can target, like has a real estate interest? So.
But I guess you're right. It's got that benefit when I drive by. I get to see my face every day. Oh, look, there I am on the bus bench.
It's working, right? Like it's working, but
it's working.
But you don't know, because 3 months later you have no calls. So.
So I was going to ask you if you had any mentors or coaches, but obviously you mentioned that already. So how did you find your mentor?
I looked at, I took the initiative. It was super scary when I first did it when I was 3 years ago. But after kind of a couple of weeks, maybe even a couple of months of not really like knowing what to do next, I was lucky enough that my sphere of influence was ready. A couple of people were ready to do something and were willing to work with me. So that's how I got my first initial start. But not after that kind of dried up. I was kind of left in this moment where I'm like, okay, how do I even convince someone to buy a house or sell a house with me? And so I looked at my brokerage, the real estate agents that work there. I sorted them by who looked the youngest from their profile photo, and I called them and I asked to have coffee with them, have conversations, and I ended up meeting the agent I work with now. His name's Harley, and yeah, ever since we just kind of naturally developed a business relationship where he kind of started teaching me some stuff. I kind of started doing some follow-up tasks, and we saw the opportunity to be like, okay, hey, you know, you're good at this, I'd love to learn from you on this avenue, and if you can teach me here, then let's do it together to, you know, triple our business, right?
That's awesome. So you found that it's been definitely helpful, and you would recommend 100%.
It. I think it'd be, and it's another reason I joined Sutton too, about having for having a physical office, because I feel like when you start, having discipline is a really big thing. Like, why wake up at 6 o'clock when you can wake up at 10? There's nothing stopping you, right? You're your own motivator. So having a mentor that can physically teach you and show you like in person was a really big thing for me. I know there's a lot of brokerages that show you courses online, but I noticed that many agents will start something and then just like let it drop off because there's no like deadline, there's no one keeping you accountable for it. So I would highly recommend getting a mentor, not a coach to pay for, but someone that like sees something in you. And if they don't, that's your first task. Like, try and sell them to see something in you, right?
Make yourself a worthwhile.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. So I guess sort of related to that, as a young person, and I'm not going to discriminate against older people because I know that it's not the same for everybody, but do you find yourself more open to and reliant on technology, you think? Is that a bigger factor in your business?
Definitely. I think actually it's a weakness of mine because I'm always kind of leaping for like the newest and best thing. Like someone say, hey, this Facebook ad's gonna it's gonna be the silver bullet, and I'll jump to that. Whereas a more experienced agent will actually understand, hey, that's not how this works. So I've wasted probably a lot of money on Facebook ads just doing things that don't work. Whereas an experienced agent would say, hey, like, you got to stick with something, right? But definitely open to new technology. Some of them have worked out really, really well in terms of CRM, trying out different CRMs, being able to familiarize yourself with them pretty quickly, and then deciding whether this works or doesn't work without, you know, putting too much time into it. I feel like a lot of people might put too much time in something and stick with it forever. Whereas there's another method or technology that could like double their business, but they don't want to make that switch. So
which tools would you think have worked for you? Like, what do you find that has been indispensable, and are there any that really have not been useful?
That's a big question. 100% the CRM I use is LionDesk. I think it's amazing. It just helps you stay on top of tasks. Initially, I had just like a piece of paper and like names written down, and like when I should follow up with them, like that. That's not going to work. LionDesk is a great online tool for your CRM. Mailchimp, I love it for the email marketing stuff because it just looks really clean and looks really professional, really nice. And I found that the people that I'm sending this email to, whether they want to talk to me and don't want to talk to me, they're more likely to open it because they just see the quality of it. And then getting a little more advanced, things like Lightroom or Final Cut Pro for like editing photos or videos, which might not be what everyone wants to do, but I say those two technologies are huge. Those are like the main two. I'm trying to think of something else, but Google Calendar. I don't know. I know some agents don't have a calendar. I'm like, that's insane. Like, how do you even organize everything? My Google Calendar is just packed with stuff that it's also to do this. So yeah, different things like that.
Do you think you can do like most of your business on your phone, like with your CRM and everything like that too?
No, I've tried with a phone and just an iPad or just a tablet. I don't think so. I think there's just something about having a computer, or not even a computer, a laptop, just a good quality laptop that it doesn't cross over. So I think that you need a good phone, a good pair of headphones to talk to people, and a good computer, really, just to kickstart your business. That's really it.
And is it changed, like, because of the pandemic? Has there been a lot more remote stuff happening, or is it not too different? I mean, it's a little bit different now, I suppose, than it was a year ago. But like, is there any lasting changes
With regards to like using technology?
Yeah, because I know that in my experience, pre-pandemic, there was a lot of resistance to a lot of technology, especially like, online meetings or anything like that. Definitely, a year ago, everyone was forced to use this stuff, and then now people are still using a lot of it.
Yeah, I totally forgot Zoom. Amazing. Or even Google Hangouts. You just send someone a link and say, hey, let's just meet online, and it's a great way to connect in person, and they meet you face to face, and from there, I just feel like the relationship builds a lot more naturally. I totally forgot that. Zoom, amazing as well. Definitely. Just, I think adapting it more. I never used to do any virtual stuff before the pandemic. It'd be obviously all in person, and now I would much rather prefer to do virtual, and actually just find it more convenient, because if someone's wanting to take a meeting with me online, then how serious are they really towards buying or selling a house? So that's like a first qualifying point that we try and put forward.
That's a good point. Yeah. And do you think that people, because of the pandemic, people are much more accepting of an online meeting than before? Like, it doesn't seem like it would be foreign to people anymore, right?
Yeah, it's a tough one. Yes and no. I think people are much more open to it if they have to be. But I think now, since a lot of people working from home, they're like, I'm in my pajamas. I do not want to take an online meeting with you, right? So so I think it's a little bit of a give and take. I think you just have to have a great conversation prior to, and just make them excited about the meeting, as opposed to like, okay, I have to get out of bed, or I have to stop doing what I'm doing to go hop online with this real estate agent, right? Yeah.
No, I agree. Like, I think I've done like, well, I mean, personally, I've probably done like 100 times more Zoom calls the past year than I had my whole career prior to this. So,
100%.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, I have one more question for you before at least my part is done, and that is, do you have any memorable stories or clients that you feel comfortable enough to share to all the people listening and watching?
Oh yes, you're gonna run into so many situations. I wish someone prepared me for this. Like, nobody told me just how crazy some things might get. Right? You hear all these stories, but yeah, one really memorable one, which I'll never ever forget. But when a buyer purchased a property, where prior to the pandemic, they had the option of having home inspections, right? And so we had clients purchase, or we got an accepted offer, and a typical home inspection here costs between $250 to $500, depending. They found someone cheaper that can do it for a flat rate of about $150. So I tell my clients this story in case they ever try and go like a different route to it. Nothing wrong with it, just obviously the type of service is going to vary. And so this home inspector ended up turning the dishwasher on. The dishwasher was broken. It ended up like pooling and just leaking water. And we were at the home inspection side, drove to Dollarama to go get like napkins. And when I came back, he had left and just kind of ditched, and my clients had to go. So I was left cleaning up this puddle and leaking dishwasher. So I had to go get a shot vac, or a shot vacuum, I think, to get all the water back up. But that was just something I never forget. It was like 7, 8 o'clock at night. I was like, what am I doing? Like, is it like, this is real estate? Like, what's going on? But yeah, it just goes to show you. It's a good story to tell my clients, and just say, hey, we would recommend get this home inspector. And if this ever happens again, just I'm not going to be the one to clean this up, because there's a lot more that can go wrong with it, right? I mean, you could be liable for it, but yeah, the fact that he just left to go home at the home inspector was pretty funny. Funny looking back at it now. It's been stressful at the time when it was happening.
Well, I mean, you think, I guess, if you're spending like $500,000 on a house or whatever it might be, $150 versus $450, worth it, right? One of those things would be worth it.
And as a professional, I mean, if something's leaking, like, and you're the cause of it, like, why not just like help this guy fix it? Why would you just leave?
Yeah.
But you never heard from him again. So
I mean, for me, that's a red flag as well. Like a budget home inspector. I give you the cheapest price. Yeah. Yeah.
You learn something new every day. So going forward, it's never happened again, thankfully. But that was a funny one, I think. So.
Yeah. Cool. You have any questions for me? You know, obviously I asked you a bunch of questions. Anything from you about what we do or what we're doing?
Um, yeah, I guess it's you're the like you do the marketing stuff for Sutton.
Yeah, well, my team at the head office, we do like, yeah, the technology and the marketing tools, templates, that kind of thing that you guys
Hmm.
can, or the brokers can use. Yeah.
Yeah, the templates are super cool for the social posts.
Hmm.
My question would be is it'd be pretty cool to like start incorporating, and obviously like there's a lot that goes into it. I know like different brokerages
Hmm.
advertise their brokerages because they have different splits and different things like that. But do you think like the Sutton down the road there could be some actual like brand promotion going on, or would that be like specific towards
Brand promotion,
offices?
as in like
It's called,
advertising kind of thing.
yeah, not many people, like people know, like when I say
Yeah.
Sutton Realty, they understand it's a real estate
Yeah.
brokerage, but not many actually know it. I think it's not as well known as like Century
Yeah.
21 or Royal LePage, which anyone listening, like that
Yeah.
does not matter. Your brand is what matters.
Right.
But quite often, like I'll call them like, hey, it's Andre from Sutton Realty, and they're like, from where?
Right.
And then I'll like repeat myself, and it kind of handles it. But anything like that would be kind of cool.
Yeah,
Just
I mean,
curious.
definitely we're always looking to improve our brand awareness. I mean, give you a bit of history. Back in 1983, when Sutton was started, I guess the whole idea at the time was that Sutton was a bit different than like the Remaxes and the LePages, in that
Mm-hmm.
you didn't have to spend
100% Canadian.
250. Yeah, you
Yeah.
didn't have to spend $250 a month on an advertising fee as well. Like, because I know that if you go to Remax or whatever, you have a certain allocate
Mm-hmm.
a certain amount, and then that's what pays for the advertising. Like Remax
Yeah.
obviously spends a lot of money on advertising. We're not going to lie.
Yeah. Yeah.
They do it because their agents spend it. So then the whole point, I guess, at the time of Sutton was that we wouldn't force our agents to advertise for us. That being
Mm-hmm.
said, we have looked for ways to do it, online, and some other ways that are, I guess, within the business model that works. Because I know our Sutton agents do a lot of work advertising for themselves, and to
Yeah.
the brand. But yeah, I totally get your point in that it would be great to have as much brand awareness as possible out there. I mean, it would help your job,
If it's, yeah, I mean, if it's within the plans and within the
yeah,
budget, right?
yeah.
I would rather keep the splits in
Keep
what I
your, yeah,
have now,
exactly.
as opposed to getting a billboard but having everything double in price. So I
Yeah,
guess
I
that was.
mean, whenever we talked about it with our brokers and stuff like that, it's like, well, does anyone want to, share on the cost of it? In the end of the day, I think our, realtors would rather spend the money on themselves, on their advertising, and the brokers themselves,
Yeah.
than to us to do it for them. But yeah, it's a good point, and I definitely, we take
No,
it to heart.
I think you answered it there. That was my fault. But yeah, then that just excited to see the kind of the next. I think a lot of real estate brokerages are going to be like shifting. I think
Yeah.
it's going to be like a really big shift. Obviously, there's a lot of like cloud-based brokerages and things like that. I prefer a physical office, but I guess my question would be like, yeah, what's like a big thing for what you think Sutton might be heading towards?
Yeah, I mean, that is a good question. I think for us, a lot of it has been this past year, things changing because of the pandemic. A lot of remote work, a lot of realtors. I mean, not as much yourself because you're open to technology, but a lot of the other realtors and brokers learning that this new age kind of exists, a new way of doing business exists. So how we can shift our business model a little bit and help our brokerages shift to this as well. Like, we think there is still a place, obviously, for these physical offices, because as you mentioned, it's a big part of how you do business. But how does that change? Like, is the same layout, the same way that you're doing it make sense? The weekly managers meeting or sales meeting, is that the same, or is there ways that we can help
Yeah.
brokerages change it so that
Mm-hmm.
it supports both people that want to be more remote or already are more remote, and people
Yeah.
who do want to visit the office? Because in reality, like, you've been to your office, it's a great physical location. I've been to both or a couple of your locations, but how many people are in there at a time, right? And how do they use
Yeah.
that space? Is it the same as it was in 1995, or is it,
Yeah.
so those are the
100%.
questions we want to have with ourselves, and to see where we can fall within that, and like, offering more online training, more online resources, trying to think of how our in-person events might be in the future, which obviously
Yeah.
isn't happening right now, but
Yeah.
just trying to see where our place is and where we can help as things have changed.
Yeah, and I think that's awesome. I mean, again, like there's a lot of like, I did take some of the, I'm not sure whether it's specific to the brokerage or for Sutton, but I think there's a couple like real estate coaches where we have free courses in the bullpen, which was awesome, right? It's a free thing. Some of those are like thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. I mean, interviewing with, I wouldn't say I'm like I'm a top producer, but I know there's great Sutton agents that are doing really, really well. And just if they'd be open to share kind of what's working for them. And just
and that's part of what we're doing here is we know that one of our strengths, like us compared to some of the other brokers, local brokerages or brands, is that we do have a network across Canada of different agents in different markets and different performance, and we want to be able to bring those stories and have that support brought out. So that's one of the big reasons why I'm talking to you, is that we want to make it more available, make it more visible that you're part of a larger national family that you guys can learn from and talk to.
About that's awesome. Other than that, I don't have any questions. I'm like super happy with it, and I mean, like with Sutton, it's for anyone who hasn't potentially watched the video I made. The reason I joined was I went to a couple of different brokerages, about 6, and I interviewed with all the brokers of record, but the one at Sutton is the only one that called me back way before I even got my license. So I kind of have that loyalty to it, and I really felt like you're being welcomed into like a family, where it's not like, it's not like beat or be eaten. It's competitive if you want it to be, but you can choose kind of where, like, what group you want to not associate with, but what group you want to, do you want to talk to the top producers in the office? Go for it. Be competitive with them. Tell them what you're doing, and then see if you can be it the next week, or if you want to just kind of have your own schedule, which I really loved and have been able to like really enjoy this year. I think in 2019, as your first year, you have a lot of stress about like, where's my next deal coming from, and now it's a little more systematic, what I know I have to do to get the next one, and I can enjoy weekends in a week off here and there, and like spend time with family and friends, which has been amazing.
Great. Yeah, and we're going to link to your video and your channel below, and for those watching as well, Andre is part of Incentive Realty in Barrie, the Barrie office, right?
Yes.
Bill Can Do is the broker. Was Bill the one you interviewed with initially?
Yes.
Yeah.
Bill
Bill's
is
a
awesome.
good guy.
And if I call him, I'm sure he'll pick up, which is just something that's pretty rare from what I've heard.
Exactly. Even from our end, I mean, if I ever need to ask him a question, he's there to answer. So he's excellent guy.
Yeah, cool.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. So we'll link to your channel. Hopefully people will check it out. Check out your video about why you joined Sutton. And I'll give you. We'll send you a link when we make this, and hopefully you can use it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me, and I'm looking forward to. I think you guys did like a couple skits, like the marketing. There's something I watched. I thought that was pretty awesome. So I'm looking forward to series 2 on that one there.
Well, we're thinking of tying that into some of this stuff too. So hopefully we'll do some more fun stuff like that.
some humor, some comedy, because at the end of the day, I mean, it can get pretty stressful. So if you can keep lighthearted, that'd be awesome. If you need like a script or some outline for like what you want to happen,
all right, maybe we'll have to incorporate some remote video too or something.
Yeah, we'll see. Okay, cool, John. Thanks so much.
All right, thanks again. All right, have a good one.
Okay, cheers.